I guess we can start now. Doors closed. Okay, so hello and welcome everyone. Thank you to the Linux Foundation for having me here. I'll be talking about our proposed novel approach to in-vehicle infotainment. About me, I'm an open source evangelist for my company, for Tieto. I'm tasked with driving forward Linux and open source software in Tieto and also making that visible to the outside. In my free time, I've been working on various open source projects, also Android, but also based on Ångström, for tablets, portable media players, that kind of things. That's where I basically started out. But the topic itself isn't actually completely by me. It's actually by Peter, who couldn't make it here himself, so that's why I'm here. He's been doing a lot of stuff with our customers that are from the car sector, vehicle sector in Germany, and this topic is his baby. So I might not be able to cover everything as in deep as he would, but I'm certainly trying my best to do so. So let's talk about a bit, where did IVI come from? Where did this whole thing start out, actually? It started really out with a car stereo. That was first bit of car entertainment. It's come a long way from there. Nowadays, over the last decade or more, we've seen a lot of embedded systems in cars. This is almost always proprietary solutions, tightly coupled to the car manufacturer to match the look and feel. But they're all sharing one thing: they're not really extensible. And you can't really do new flexible things with them. If you go for aftermarket solutions, like for the car stereo slots, then usually you can rip out one of those systems and replace it with one of those slots. It usually will be the slim slot, or if you're lucky, it's the taller one. But still, it doesn't give you that much, and you won't have the integration of a manufacturer-supplied system there. You won't access the buses that are in the car. So where are we heading with in-vehicle infotainment systems? Well, I think this was in Toyota. Found that on the internet. Yes, that is a possibility. Many screens, not only the driver, also all the passengers. That is an unlikely outcome. The question, though, is what will be the basis for that? Will we still see largely proprietary systems where you can't get what you would like to have? Well, there has been some development. Just to name a bit, there is Gen IVI. They have been working for quite long on it. I think they started actually out even with Moblin. I think at the moment most visible bits are based on MeeGo 1.2 for the IVI. But I don't think there has been much of an productization of that. And also, it suffers from the problem that the ecosystems that were supposed to happen, where this was supposed to integrate, they never happened so far. And when it comes to Tizen, it may be starting, but it's certainly not there yet. Microsoft has actual software in cars. I don't know so much about it, but I've seen it. Now the question is, will we put Android actually into cars? And what can we learn from others? But let's look also at customer expectations. The customers are driven by what they have in consumer electronics. Means smartphones, tablets, their PCs, their TVs. They want to be connected everywhere, anytime. They want their Facebook. They want Foursquare. They want everything. Preferably also in the car. That is a challenge, but we'll touch on that later. What this leads to in the long run, though, is what I like to call the cosmos of devices, or the universe of devices. Everything connected somehow to each other. Not necessarily everything connected directly to the network, but and the internet connectivity is the enabling fabric for this to happen. Let's continue looking at customer expectations. Customers have grown accustomed to applications. Apps is the thing. There are constantly new services appearing that gain traction. The largest one that is now well established just went to the stock exchange, Facebook. We've seen some integration there. I think Mercedes has some application, but again, that's built into a proprietary system. What happens if Facebook changes the API in 5 years? Which leads us to also, yes, customers would like to see support over the whole lifespan of their device or product. But also new functionality. If something new happens, they would like to see it in their existing car. Because their phone has it, so why can't my car have it? And in that sense, they also expect third-party content applications to happen. And, well, basically, I've already covered this my data a bit, but it's like also having access to your pictures, your latest trendy service, not necessarily Facebook, but Foursquare or whatever. If it wasn't there when the car was built, well, in a proprietary system, if you're lucky, it will come with a firmware update. But I wouldn't hold my breath for that. So, as this is maybe not the standard Android device, let's look a bit at product specifics and compare a bit also. First, let's look at the lifespan, life cycle. So for a car, it's actually the average, I think in the US, is 7.5 years for the first owner. It's designed for at least 10 years of operation, often much longer. But let's compare that to consumer electronics, smartphones, tablets, computers, maybe, well, not TVs, but that's somewhere in between. You will have people changing to the latest iPhone, the latest Nexus, whatever, on a yearly cycle, sometimes even more often. And it basically is also designed not to last very much longer than the warranty, which you will usually have for a year or two. But let's look also at the development cycle for those things. Cars, usually when you have a completely new car model, I was told that takes about 3 to 5 years to develop. The IVI system might come in a bit later or might be able to change still, but still, you have to be ready well in advance. There are certification processes, which we'll touch on later. And also, once it's introduced to the market, it won't be replaced after half a year by the Nexus S++ car, and then the ++ car. And it's often also an evolutionary process that you will see. And while it's on the market, it might undergo updates, but it's essentially still the same model. Well, when it comes to smartphones and tablets, you will usually have a development cycle for well under a year. And the devices don't stay in stores longer than a year because, well, they are replaced already by the next big thing. And it's more of a revolutionary process. It's like 2 years ago, tablets were not there yet. Now they're already full steam, everyone must own a tablet. Okay, but let's look a bit at the operating environment that we will see in a car. It's also not really what you have with your smartphone. You really have to stay in the range. I'm sorry, I don't have Fahrenheit values right now.
40 is -40 Fahrenheit.
Okay. So yeah, it's really -40 Celsius to 125. That's on the PCB though. As I said, it's on the PCBs. Think about it that way. Let's imagine you have a black car, you park it in the sun, and you have a system that is here in this little metal box. So the sun keeps hitting that thing. You easily have a delta with an SOC. I don't know exactly, but I would expect of 20 degrees, 40. So you can reach that. And also humidity. It's like during winter or autumn, you will have lots of humidity in your car. Well, it was famously in the news, someone had an iPhone in their pocket in Norway. It was -20 degrees, screen cracked. Apple said, sorry. You couldn't really do that in the car world. Yeah. On the electronic side of things, there is also some stuff. For example, the CAN bus, it's the controller area network. There are actually several of those in cars, not just one. They're depending on purpose and also like it's a bit segmented. That's what I mean by ideal firewalls. Some buses are connected to the interesting bits, and some simply are not. Like you won't, for example, I hope I'm saying the right things, but get access to your car alarm or the ignition on the same bus that, I don't know, controls your air condition or something like that. I'm not sure, but
I think you can get access to status information.
yeah, status information, but like,
But not being able to drive it.
yeah, it might. The bus might, the two buses might go into the same controller, but you might not be able to control it. So let's look a bit at the limitations side of things in the industry. Yeah, legal liability is a real big thing. Security has the highest priority in cars. The OEM, the car manufacturers really on the hook there. And this includes the IVI system. Everything, as the car as it is sold, completely has to be safe. Hardware, software, everything. This can be a real problem for car manufacturers if something goes wrong. It doesn't even necessarily need to be a real problem, but it can be even a perceived problem. I think, if I remember correctly, with I think it was the Toyota brake pedal, it turned out that it was, in most cases, actually some driver mistake or something like that that led to people believing that there was a malfunction. But still, the PR impact was huge. And so car manufacturers are extremely sensitive over those things. And there is a lot of verification and certification processes involved there. They make super sure that things are like safe. That's also why so far things have been largely proprietary systems. Let's look at a practical aspect of this. For example, while stationary, you might be able to view video or TV on the screen that the driver has inside that he can access, but while driving, you really, really don't want to show that to the driver. For example, I'm sure, at least about Germany, it's straight out illegal. And what you want to always ensure is that critical systems or important systems are always operational. So you can't rely, for example, for some things on a unit that needs 20 seconds to boot. You need something that boots in less than a second. But, well, after painting a bit of a grim picture here, let's look at what could be possible opportunities. So, yes, I do think it's possible to leverage the Android ecosystem. We've heard today already presentations at the keynote. Jason and his colleague talked about it. It is possible, it's being done, and it's viable. There are certain positive effects which you can leverage there. For example, developers. You have many experienced developers who now have played with tablets and smartphones. It's quite well documented. And, well, can you really argue with this? I think I was a recent figure from the Android market, Google Android market, 400,000 existing applications. We'll come back to that later. And it's a maturing architecture now. It's still a lot in movement, but multimedia works quite well nowadays, and also connectivity. And there is more than just phones as devices. There is tablets. And if you look at it, cars are, in some sense, for example, similar to tablets. So it's also an possibly open platform. You could have multiple players in this Android IVI field sharing things and experiences. And that can lead to synergy, making a lot of things easier, like reducing the work necessary. And it can also benefit from other form factors, like, for example, tablets. If we only would have had smartphones, it would be more complicated because it's a small screen, it's a certain input type of thing. But tablets are larger screen, and if you compare it to this system here, which I'll show later, it actually looks quite similar. So you can inherit a lot from that. That might reduce the work necessary that you have to do to have a well-working system. And also, this touches on what I mentioned earlier. It's familiar to the user. The user already has an Android phone, might have an Android tablet. And parts of the UI will probably look similar, behave similar. The whole concept behind how you write applications, how the UI works. And, well, possibly you would see the same applications as on other devices. From the different side, what's in it for OEMs and suppliers? And here, I have to be a bit more honest. It's like car manufacturers, they don't really care that much about the price advantage there. The markup for an IVI system is quite large. They make quite some money with that. And unless you give them a real good business case, car manufacturers won't just go with that. So that is one of the challenges. That was also already mentioned in the keynote, finding those business cases to make this happen. It can be, if you look at it from the tier 1, which is the first level subcontractor below the car manufacturer. Many car manufacturers buy systems from such suppliers. For them, it can be quite interesting because it can allow them to deliver faster and reduce their engineering overhead. So if not the car manufacturers, then it might come first through the 3D suppliers. Let's look at some of the challenges which we might be facing here. The app story. So yeah, unless IVI becomes the Google car or the Nexus car, sorry, no, I know there is a Nexus, but in that sense, you might not see the Android market. I'm not sure if I would agree with what I heard earlier, that you can claim that it's like a tablet. It might work, but would remain to be seen because there will be certain constraints. What you could see is that you will have branding. So if a supplier comes up with this, they will of course offer this, that the car manufacturer brands the system to their needs. But that is actually very important to touch on. There will be the need for a certification process for applications, because there are aspects of an IVI system which are so far not covered in smartphones or tablets. It's like the car starts driving, that changes the behavior of the system. Like I said earlier, you can't have, for example, a movie playing. So it will, if I'm saying, the IVI system would allow for arbitrary applications, then probably for the at least for the driver, only while the car is stopped. Maybe even when the engine is not running at all. Once you're driving, you only want something that the car manufacturer or some shared group has certified that it's safe. Because here you touch back on this liability issues, that if something happens, if the application causes a car crash, God forbid people die, that's going to be a real problem. So there you need certification, and this will most likely lead to alternative or additional markets. There are already alternative markets for Android. This was especially popular before tablets were Google-blessed devices. But they still exist. Also, certain companies are pushing it, like Amazon. Yeah, so this would probably require a specific... Yes, please?
What kind of connectivity do you expect in a car?
Oh, that's a very good question. There are actually several outcomes which are possible. Either you will have the modem built into the car. That is actually increasingly more likely as you get, for example, devices like the Kindle reader, which comes with connectivity built in. You don't have to worry about it. So with a device that costs much, much more, it could be just built in. It could be factored into the price of the car. Of course, it could pose a problem if, over the span of the life of the vehicle, the mobile phone operator disappears. But, yeah, also, it's possible that we will see a future where smaller devices or larger devices actually go through proxy like phone or tablet to establish connectivity. I'm not sure if that is going to happen for a car, but for smaller devices like, for example, I have this nice Bluetooth connected watch. It doesn't need an own modem. Yeah. What else? Canvas access. There will be, most likely, you won't get the canvas connected right to your system that runs the actual Android. There will be another embedded system that provides you APIs and ways to access those things and act as an intermediary. But yeah, still also for that, applications might need to be certified depending on what types of access you will see there. And what I see as a challenge, and that is partly why I'm standing here today, is that it would need some standardization of those IVI-specific interfaces. What good is it if several car manufacturers use Android, but all do their own thing? Another thing is that you would likely see easier one app for different targets. Like, okay, you could play Angry Birds on your car, for example. Nice, but also the other way around. If your car has an application that allows you to control the air condition or the heating, it could work the other way around. The car manufacturer could make that application available in the Android market for you to download to your smartphone and give you the possibility to talk to your car because your car is connected. So you are still inside, or you're still in a meeting, and you know outside it's -20. It's really cold. You have to go home for 2 hours in a car. Oh, you just pull out your smartphone. Oh yeah, start heating. So it works both ways in that aspect. See if I covered everything I wanted for this slide. Yeah, this is another point where this touches on is like home automation also goes a bit into this direction, like controlling the heating or the air condition for your home. Yeah. What I would hope for to see would be that there would be a common IVI application market. So that either because it would be one or two suppliers who work together, or because it would be the car manufacturers who would work together, you would have one place for certification for your applications for cars. One place, one API you work against. And then diversification over OEM branding. So if you sit in a Dodge, it would be the Dodge market where you can download your Dodge apps. Or if you sit in a Mercedes, it would be the Mercedes market where you download your Mercedes apps. But still, it would be a lot easier with all the back-end processes, because if you want an application for both a Mercedes and a Dodge, you don't have to go through all those certifications again and again and again. It would be just one place. Yeah, here possible business models come into play. The question would be, where can those companies make money? So would it be that the market is run not for profit, but the car companies get a share, or would there be an operator involved, like a mobile phone operator? That's certain topics to be explored. One thing which we also should touch on is that there is a large challenge in this human-machine interface, because you just can't try to figure out while driving how this thing is working and where did that option go. So you need input methods that don't disturb you while driving, won't cause accidents, that are just natural. This could be voice control, but this could be also gestures, easy, intuitive gestures, like going with your finger from left to right or from bottom, or making a circle. Not necessarily even on the screen. It could be a surface that is much more natural, like somewhere near the steering wheel or in the console. So it doesn't even necessarily need to be the display, which might be a bit further away. Yes, like having a Kinect-like system would be, then you don't even need a touch surface. You just make some gesture, and the system figures it out for you. Yes, absolutely. We've actually done some research in both topics previously for other systems. Yeah, one challenge is, of course, you don't want to have like real small icons while you're driving. So where is it? So yeah, there will be certain like rules and things, and what also would be probably available for applications would be that you can display a notification on a second display, which is, for example, behind your steering wheel next to your odometer and stuff. Or, which we see increasingly, a head-up display in the windshield, that you could also insert some small information there. Like, for example, I think it was the Mercedes system, which has unlimited scope Facebook access and can show you when you approach cities where friends of you live, or places. Yeah, as I said, there is ongoing research in this interaction models, but also all areas. We are actually looking into Android for cars because we see an interest from the companies we work with Yeah, the gesture system, that was pretty promising, what we saw there. We hope to see it in a car that you will own in the not too far future. Oh, I'm actually running a bit tight on time, but let's have a brief look at the engineering requirements. This is more of a short list. So you need to know about the technologies in the car if you want to get in the Android IVI market. If you feel like, yes, I'm going to start a company that is going to do this, I'm going to dominate this, then yes, you better look at the technologies that are there. You better really familiarize yourself well with the product creation process. How is a car created from the clay model to the actual car in a store? How those system integration processes work, together with the verification and validation certification, but also standards and legal requirements. This is something which I would love to talk more about, but sadly, that would have been a topic for Peter. Yeah, but also OEMs, so car manufacturers and their brand and product strategies. Some of them actually might not be at all interested in having an open system because it doesn't follow their philosophy. And if you want to get in it, you need references like demonstration devices, but also project experience. Show that you have done something. Then you're likely to get things, get projects. Now we still have about 8 minutes if my clock's right. I'd like to ask you, the audience here, how do you see IVI in a car? What was your feeling when you came here? What do you think now? Is it possible? Are we going to see it next year? I know Renault has something brewing that was lately in the news, but is it going to break through? What are your thoughts? Yes, please, there in the back. Yes. Yes, this is very much from the car perspective, but you could proceed to go into different topics, like for example airplanes, trains. Yes, but that has different challenges. Challenges that might be quite hard to describe right now. But airplanes are also quite peculiar with their requirements.
Why going to Android and not using MeeGo? You have a system that's already there.
MeeGo is really dead in the water, and the application story never happened. Okay, so you would have a nice system, but essentially it would be proprietary because there would be no apps.
You haven't got the application environment you would have with Android, just simply because MeeGo is there.
Yeah, I'm not saying that Gen IVI is wrong, but by no means. That there are some really, really smart people there. And probably this is a topic that will surface also on the Gen IVI side. I've seen a presentation by someone from Monte Vista, I think, who was talking about running both HTML5 and Android apps next to each other on a Gen IVI system. So there is stuff going on.
It's also possible to use
Yeah.
Android application on the system.
Yes. Yes, he was actually talking about native user space, complete from libc Bionic upwards. I think LXC containers, that type of thing. But yeah, both would be absolutely possible. So yeah, one of the purposes why I think we came here is that we wanted to present this topic and also get some discussion going, get this into people's minds, because what good would it do if some car manufacturer comes up with an Android-based system, but it's completely closed or doesn't meet the Android community requirements. So what I hope for is to get also something out of this, talking to people. I'll be around here also. The demonstrator will be at the TI stand later on. To get something out of here, what we should do, where we should go with this. Yes, please. So I'm not sure if I understood your question correctly, because you're talking about the OEMs for the car systems. Oh yeah, you mean like aftermarket devices which you could put into cars? Well, that's actually a very good point, which I personally didn't think about. Yes, it would be possible that we will see Android in cars first from third parties. It is already there. Okay, even better. Yeah, but you can glue a tablet to your dashboard, but.
So I'm actually from Ford Research, and I want to plug a research platform that we just put out called OpenXC, which tries to stand by a lot of what you just talked about. We really want to have an open platform, so we have that sort of intermediary between an Android device and CAN bus.
Awesome.
It's read-only right now, but we're trying to go in this direction. So I encourage anyone that's interested to check it out, because we love other people to give their input on it.
Yeah, I know that for this system we're looking at an open source platform, OSEC, but to talk to the CAN bus components and expose this to the IVI system. But yeah, very interesting. Maybe I should, before my time completely runs out, maybe I should show you very briefly the system here. I'm going to try something. Let's see if this works. That's a little trick I have here up my sleeve. I don't know how well this will work. Yeah, please come by later to see more of it. But just so that this is part of the presentation, we came up with some study of how an actual system could look like. Here you need to choose the driver. Choosing the driver could be done in various ways. It could be over the ignition key, it could be an RFID card, or just PIN and something. This is not an actual system that will go on sale. It's just something that our guys like to play with and where they explore things. So you could, for example, check the weather. So if it works, yeah, it does. But you could also make a phone call. Yeah, there is space for a web browser component, but it doesn't work in this particular demo. There could be a clock, just yeah, media players, and here you can get back to that. But also there are other options. Here you can see that it's an bog standard Android. I think it's actually in gingerbread. Let me see. That's also a very simple starter type UI. It could be a custom launcher that you would then have. You can swipe between them. You can start a maps application for example, navigation. Yeah, you have this nice dial for volume. It's nice and familiar. Yeah. Just to give you an idea, this is something why we think this is important is something you can really touch and you can try it out actually in a car. It's not something I would put into a production car because it's obviously a demonstration device, but yeah. But yeah, please come by later and I can show you some more and discuss things. So yeah, I hope this was interesting for you. Any questions left? Yes, please.
You seem to have your own requirements on applications, so how are you going to leverage the marketplace as the existing application if your
Yes.
needs are specific for all?
Yeah, that is, maybe I wasn't specific enough during the presentation. When you drive, you can't allow things to run just everything. Let's see, maybe I can go to the slide. Which one was it? It's probably here. Yeah, so while stationary, you could, for example, allow people to run Angry Birds, whatever. I don't know if the car manufacturers will go there. It's possible that they won't. But this is where I think it could be possible that you see more applications, that you see most of the applications running. While driving, you will be severely limited, but it's probably not the only screen you will see in a car. So passengers might very well see essentially devices that will be quite close to tablets, but still have access, for example, to the air conditioning for that particular seat or something like that. Further questions? Don't think so. And I think we made it more or less in time. So, thank you.